In this video, let's dive into how to register AWS SDK clients with dependency injection in .NET. We will look at the different manual steps that are possible and also look at the out-of-the-box way that the SDK provides. We will also see when it is necessary to fall back to the manual registration mechanisms. Hello everyone. My name is Rahul and welcome back to this YouTube channel. If you're new here, I make videos on .NET, Cloud and DevOps. This video is part of my .NET on AWS series and thanks to AWS for sponsoring it. Here I have a simple ASP.NET API application, and in the program.cs I have set up various patterns of dependency injection that I have used in the past or have seen in other code bases being used. In most of these mechanisms, we are manually registering the client into the dependency injection. Now, if you're completely new to dependency injection in .NET, I highly recommend checking out my video, which will be on this YouTube channel. Now, for registering dependencies in .NET, we use the builder.services and call various methods on it. Now, in this case, I am registering the DynamoDB using the add singleton and passing in the interface and also the implementation class. Now, with DynamoDB, there are two clients, which is why I'm registering both of them for the DynamoDB client, which is the low-level client, and also the DynamoDB context, which is the higher-level client. Now, similarly, when I have to use to Amazon S3, I can use add singleton of Amazon S3 and specify the instance directly here. So in this case, I'm overriding the region and I'm specifying an Amazon S3 client. Now, in both these cases, since I have not explicitly set up the credentials, it is taking from my environment variables that is configured on my local machine. Now, when running in AWS Cloud, it will take up the IAM roles and the policies that's given to that specific role. I have even seen examples where we hardcode the basic credentials using an AWS key and the secret key in the source code. Now, this is really bad and you shouldn't be doing it because you're exposing your sensitive keys inside your source code. Now, a step ahead from this would be to actually move this to configuration so that it's not hard-coded, but you can still pull from the config and then override the key and secret. Now, in this case, we are registering an Amazon simple notification service, and it's again registered as a singleton instance. Now, there might also be confusions on whether you should be registering it as a singleton or a transient or scoped instances. Now, in majority of the cases, these clients are thread safe and can be registered as a singleton instance. Now, to avoid all these confusions, the .NET SDK has a built-in mechanism that you can use to register these clients, which makes it quite straightforward and also less tedious. Now, let's add a NuGet package to get started using with this method. So let's go to Manage NuGet Packages and let's search for AWS .NET Setup. Now, the NuGet package is AWS SDK.extensions.NET Core.setup. So let's add this NuGet package to our project here. So let's install this. And once installed, we can start using this. Now, this NuGet package makes it very easy to register the dependencies. Now, in this case, if I want to register our Amazon DynamoDB, I can simply use the AddAWSService method that is on the services collection. Now, for this, we can just pass in the Amazon DynamoDB and everything else this method will take care of. Now, we don't have to do anything else. Now, if you navigate further into the AddAWSService method, you can see this is taking in the service method and it's calling an internal method. Now, the only constraint on the type T is that it needs to implement the AWSService. Now, if you go back, you can navigate to Amazon DynamoDB and you can see this is implementing the interface AWSService. However, the DynamoDB context is slightly different. Now, this is a higher level API, which means it is a wrapper around the service client that is there. So in this case, the DynamoDB context doesn't implement this service class. So you cannot use add AWS service for that specific instance, but you would still be registering add singleton and you can register the DynamoDB context by explicitly specifying the class in here. Now, when using this AddAWSService method, you can see by navigating further into this that this calls the create service client method. Now, inside here, you can see once finally it calls the service client, it is using a create credentials method. Now, this is using different mechanisms to fall back to find the credentials. Now, I can do a separate video on how these credentials are being set up and the different levels that you can set it up. However, in this specific case, it is getting the credentials that is configured on my local machine. So if I open the AWS toolkit in Rider, you can see my default profile that is configured in here, which has the credential details. Now, you can have different profiles and you can switch that in here. So if we navigate back to program.cs, you can also see the AddAWS service defaults to the singleton service lifetime, which means by default, all the services that are registered using AWS service method is singleton instance. You can override this if you want by passing in a lifetime. Now, we can also replace the other call so that any of these explicit calls, we can replace this by AddAWSService. Now, in this case, if you want to register SQS, you can similarly call AddAWSService and simply pass in the instance here. Now, you don't have to explicitly pass the credentials here because you know that the environment that's configured will have the required access. So avoid having to hardcode the credentials in case you're talking to the exact same account where all these services are existing. So let's also go and replace the simple notification service and make it as AddAWSService, and let's use the default mechanisms for getting the credentials, which means all of this can be removed and we don't have to create an instance and we just need to pass that method. Now this has become much more cleaner in terms of registration and also the way that the credentials are being managed. Now this has an API endpoint which is /movie and it gets the movies from the table in DynamoDB. So let's run this and see if this is all still working. The application is running, so to invoke this API, let's switch over to the .http file, which we can use to invoke API. So in here, we have the get call, which is hitting the movie and passing in the year. Now, if you're completely new to HTTP files, I highly recommend checking out my video on this channel. So let's click the play button and you can make the request, which hits the breakpoint, which hits the database. So you can see the DynamoDB context is injected in and it has the required credentials that is being set up via the context and the configuration. So let's continue the execution and you can see all the results are being returned from my database in here. Now you can change the year, so let's go back and let's also make a call to 2023 and let's see if there were any movies in that year. So it's again hitting the breakpoint and we don't have any result for that specific case. Now there are scenarios where you cannot use this specific registration mechanism. So you can see in here we have a map post method which takes in a movie and writes this to DynamoDB and it also writes a record to S3 client. Now in this specific case, I have my S3 client in a different region. So you can see here, this is in AP South 1, whereas all my default services are in AP Southeast 2. So if I navigate to my S3, you can see the Southeast 2 has the movies database, which is in Asia Pacific, Sydney. However, I also have an S3. So if I navigate to the S3 homepage, and if I look at the bucket, which is Rahul Mumbai region bucket, so if I switch back, we have a bucket which is AP South 1. So you can see that is the Mumbai region bucket and this is specifically in Mumbai. So just this bucket is in a different region. Now, there might be reasons why you have this in your setup as well, but if possible, you can move all this into the same region. Or in the worst case, if you want to continue using this, you will have to explicitly register the region and the client in that case. Because in here, if you want to simply use AddAWSService, it's going to use the default credentials and pick up 8P Southeast 2, which is coming from my profile. Now you can override the region inside the code by specifying AddAWSOptions. So we can call builder.services.addAWSOptions, add default AWS options, but even in this case, this will override the AWS options for all the services. So you'll have to either opt in for all of the services to be adhering to that specific options or none of them does. Now there are mechanisms in which you can avoid this, but we will see that in a future video. So let's comment this out for now and let's run this to see the post working. So in this case, I have explicitly registered the Amazon S3 client to talk to AP South 1. Application is running, so let's switch back to our HTTP and let's make a post request. Now in this case, it has made a request to the endpoint, it has created the movie and it has also created the file. So if I switch back to the console and if I go to the Mumbai region bucket, you can see there will be a new file in here. So we have movies folder and we have 2025 Mufasa as the new movie. So if I switch back, you can see that's exactly the movie that I posted from here. Now this movie would also have got written in our database, so we can search for 2025. Let's save this and run this again, and this is going to get that details back. So you can see that movie now exists in 2025. Now, as you've seen, in majority of the cases, the add AWS services works great. However, whenever you have to override the region or the account, etc., you will have to explicitly register these instances. Now, this is specifically the case when you are building multi-tenant apps where you might have resources across different regions or even across different Amazon accounts. We will explore this in a future video. If you want to be notified when that video comes out, please make sure to hit the subscribe button. This also helps me to grow this YouTube channel. If you like this video, please make sure to hit the like button. Thank you and see you soon in the next video.